What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 17 online game. We now go to the AFC Conference to start off the second half of the 32-team preview series for the upcoming NFL season, starting off with the AFC West and the now Los Angeles Chargers. Formerly residing in San Diego for many years, and after a long dispute about trying to get money to fund the new stadium, the Chargers have made the move to the city of Los Angeles, joining the LA Rams. They're going to be sharing the same stadium as the Rams for the next couple of years at least, and we'll see if the move to LA can give the Chargers some good luck, because last year they had a lot of luck, alright, but none of it was good. The Chargers, as you guys know, have been one of the most banged up teams due to injuries the last couple of years in the NFL. And last year was their banner year for injuries, it felt like. There were more injuries than ever. Everybody went down. You know, the first game of the season really set the tone for the Chargers. Keenan Allen doing really good. Chargers get a nice lead, and then Keenan Allen goes down. He's out for the year immediately. Like torn ACL, already gone. And then on top of that, they couldn't hold on to the lead. They blew the big lead to Kansas City and, you know, choked the game in overtime. Alex Smith gets the game-winning run, and that really set the tone for the Chargers in the season. They got a lot of injuries, and they really just became a punchline at a certain point for the amount of times they would blow four-quarter leads, choke games away, and that was the way the Chargers were in the Mike McCoy era. Now Mike McCoy is gone, so hopefully, you know, new coach, new city, new Chargers. That's the hope, right? And hopefully they can avoid the injury bug. Well, the season hasn't even started, and the injury bug's already hitting the Chargers up, because why not? The football guys just don't like the Chargers. The Chargers lost to the Browns, for God's sake, last year, right? Remember that field goal that Josh Lambo missed? Browns fans in their edge of their seat, ended the game. They just rushed the field goal unit on, and of course it missed. And the only team that could, you know, lose to the Browns had to be the Chargers in a choking fashion. And because of that, the Chargers got a 5-11 record, underperformed what they should have, got a really high draft pick, and they got Mike Williams in the first round out of Clemson. And I don't know many collegiate players as I've gone over before. We don't go over collegiate players because I watch them once they come to the NFL, but Mike Williams out of Clemson, that dude was like a freak, all right? I really like him. He reminds me of the way Mike Evans was in college. I mean, he was with Johnny Football at Texas A&M, and like, Johnny Football was doing his thing, but I'm just like, yo, Mike Evans is a freak. The way he just goes up and catches those jump balls Johnny Manziel throws when he's evading defenders. That's kind of what Mike Williams is like. Not exactly, you know, Deshaun Watson was like Johnny Manziel, but when they threw up the balls, like, just up there, just go up and get it, Mike Williams made plays. So I really think he's going to be a good receiver for them, and they were set to have one of the deepest receiving cores in the league going into this season. No one really knows exactly what you're getting out of Keenan Allen this season because, you know, he's had season-ending injuries 2 seasons in a row now, so, you know, he might not be as good as he once was, because Keenan Allen's a really good receiver, but no one knows what he's going to bring. But still, Keenan Allen, if he comes back, you know, somewhat decently, that's good. Antonio Gates and Hunter Henry, that's a great tight end duo. I really like Hunter Henry. And Mike Williams on top of that. And then you got the little guys like Tyrell Williams last year. Once he became the #1 receiver, he actually was pretty good for them. And on top of that, you got these, you know, other guys, these roster fillers like Dontrell Inman, and Travis Benjamin, the speedster, formerly played for the Browns. And it really looked like it would be the deepest wide receiving core in the league, / you know, tight ends on top of that. Because, I mean, I don't know how much Antonio Gates is bringing at this age, but he can bring, you know, a certain something, especially if they bring in Hunter Henry to kind of spell his playing time. And Phillip Rivers at the quarterback position, really exciting. Phillip Rivers is still a good quarterback. He just hasn't had an offensive line, and it looks like he still won't have an offensive line this season. And Melvin Gordon really broke out last year. Melvin Gordon didn't have a single rushing touchdown his rookie season. Last year had 10 and nearly had 1,000 yards on the ground despite playing behind what was probably one of the worst offensive lines last year. So I really thought Melvin Gordon exceeded what he should have behind that offense line. He got a lot more than, you know, you would expect from the average running back. So I like Melvin Gordon, and I really think the last couple of years the Chargers have drafted really well. I think last year's draft, the first 2 rounds, Joey Bosa and Hunter Henry, I don't think they could have done much better from the positions they drafted those guys. Joey Bosa was like a potential #1 overall pick. People thought he was the best defensive player in the draft. A couple of quarterbacks went ahead of him, and Bosa didn't play at the beginning of the season, contract disputes and all that, and didn't look good. But when Bosa came strong, man. I really like Joey Bosa. I really like Hunter Henry, too. And, you know, I like Melvin Gordon. They drafted a couple of young linebackers the last couple of years. They got Jatavis Brown. We'll go into the defense a little bit, and Denzel Perriman. But like on the offensive side of football, the Chargers, they just, it's hard to predict what the Chargers are going to do because they just get injured so much. So whatever you think the Chargers are going to do is probably going to be a game or two below that just because of Los Angeles or San Diego Charger nonsense. But hopefully not, they're in LA, different thing. But the one thing the Chargers have to control, and this is on Phillip Rivers a lot, is turnovers. Last year, they were up there in turnovers with the lead. They might have, it was either them or the Jets that led the league in turnovers. The Chargers, not just interceptions, Phillip had 21 of them. They fumbled the ball a lot. They had like 14 or 15 fumbles lost. So, gotta take care of the football. And Phillip Rivers, I really like Phillip Rivers, but sometimes he just throws some maddening interceptions. You're just like, Phillip, why are you forcing that ball in there? I know you don't have much time behind that crappy offensive line, but what are you doing? And look at Melvin Gordon Beast in here. But, Phillip Rivers really has to cut down some of those turnovers, even the fumbles that he loses sometimes. So you really need that, and as long as they do that, their defensive unit isn't that bad. They kind of put their defense in a lot of bad positions by turning the ball over so many times, and to be fair, the defense took the ball away a lot. They were one of the leaders in takeaways last year. They might have actually been the leader in takeaways. They were the leader in interceptions at least last year. I'm not sure about fumbles, but they were the leaders in, interceptions. And, Casey Hayward was definitely the star of that unit last year. Jason Verrett went down. Hayward, I believe, led the league with interceptions. He had like 8 of them. And they were a ball-hawking secondary. And your defense is set to be pretty good. So their offense really just has to take care of the football this year, and the Chargers can definitely be set for improvement. Unfortunately, when I say their offensive line was bad last year, and it might not be good this year, they got Russell Okung, however you want to say his name, and he's been injury-prone the last couple of years. You got Barksdale, who hasn't been good. They got Matt Slauson, the veteran, at the center spot. And then they got 2 projected guards that are going to be rookies going into the season. Forrest Lamb, second-round pick. You hope to God he brings you something. And then Dan Feeney is projected to be one of the guards as well. And they really need their rookie class to step up at those guard spots, because otherwise Phillip Rivers is going to be spending a lot of time on the ground, beating up, and probably forcing passes for interceptions when he shouldn't be. So hopefully they can get that offensive line situation fixed. If they do, the Chargers are going to be one of the scariest offenses, and hopefully Mike Williams comes back at some point in the season. No one knows really what his situation is going to be, because it would be really nice to see the Chargers play at full health with this offense, because it's a really good and young unit. It's not just that it's a good unit. Besides Antonio Gates, it is a young unit, and it's really exciting. And when I mentioned injuries last year, Jason Verrett was one of the big injuries. He went down, out for the year. And if he could come back healthy, he and Casey Hayward are one of the best cornerback duos in the league. Who's playing next to them in the nickel or something like that? No one really knows. You got to figure that out. They got a die at the strong safety spot, and he was surprisingly good last year. And they brought Trey Boston in from Carolina. And Trey Boston's a pretty good, he's a starting NFL safety. Not really anything more than that. You don't expect anything more from him right now, but he's a good plug-in guy right there. Just, young guy. Hopefully improves a little bit. Just at least plays the game. As long as he plays in his games, they have a really good defensive line. Really good defensive line. One of the best rushing defenses last year. They got a bunch of people that they rotate in and out. Mebane and Corey Leach at the biggest names. And then the pass rush has a chance to be absolutely scary this season. Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa coming after your quarterback, and even Legion a little bit. But just Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram coming at your quarterback. No one wants to play against those guys, right? No one's trying to see Joey Bosa, because in his second year, he might improve some more, and that is scary for the NFL. So, the Chargers have a really good roster. It's just that, another thing to mention about the San Diego Chargers, they had one of the worst special teams last year. I mean, they didn't make a single 50-yard field goal last year. They're one of the only teams. Even then, Lambeau kicked at about 80%, which isn't that good. We mentioned before that kicking units in the NFL at this point, the standard is raised for kickers, where they should be kicking 85 to 90% now, and 80% is kind of unacceptable. So hopefully Lambeau improves, and their punting game was okay. But it is really just a lot of nonsense has to be taken away from the Chargers, and that's kind of hard to expect, because you just really never know what you're gonna get from the Los Angeles Chargers. That's gonna take a little bit of getting used to. Like the LA Rams just comes out the tongue easier, but I feel like Los Angeles Chargers it's gonna take a little bit to get used to that. Like, it's always been the San Diego Chargers. They had the Superchargers and all that. Now it's just Los Angeles. What? So hopefully they improve. You guys see this game that's going on in the background. I really don't got much else for the Chargers. I would say, I really like the Chargers roster, but they're just such a snake-bitten team, and I'm not sure the offensive line is really going to improve. So I would say that, they would go 8-8 to 9-7, but the Chargers, they probably have the biggest window of a record that any team probably has in the NFL. They could go 5-11 next year for all we know. Things Phillip Rivers takes a decline and the defense tanks a little bit and people just get injured all over the place and they choke more leads. Yeah, they could go 5-11, but they could also go 10-6 and win the AFC West. That is legitimately possible. It was legitimately possible last year. They could have contended for the AFC West or at least for a wild card spot. Maybe not the West because the Raiders and Chiefs are both really good, but they could compete for the AFC West this year if they could clean up their act. I'm just not sure that they got it in them this year. I think they're going to be more of an 8-8 to 9-7 kind of team this year. But they definitely got that window open. And I really do hope that they could turn it around. Because, like, Phillip Rivers, he deserves better down there in San Diego. The last couple of seasons, it's been an absolute mess. Especially the excuse of the offensive lineman they put with him. The amount of, free agents that they let walk away when they really should be keeping guys. Like, they keep on letting guys like Darren Sproles and Vincent Jackson go. Familiar faces, and they end up doing pretty good on their new teams. So, I mean, they got a young unit, and I really hope they could turn it around. They got a good young linebacking core, one of the better front sevens in the league. Like I said, one of the best receiving cores, good young running back. Just gotta take care of this silliness, man. And this game right here, we were down 10-0. We were able to make the comeback, basically score a bunch of unanswered points. He got a late touchdown in the game, which we weren't really too worried about, especially once he didn't get the 2-point conversion. Got the win eventually. I just made a couple of bonehead turnovers early on in the game. Didn't really have my head in the game early on, threw a couple of user picks to him, and once we took care of that, I tried to get the running game established, but we really didn't get that going too much. Part of that, just the offensive line, this team kind of crap, but we got the win. So leave a like in the video if you guys enjoyed it. Chargers fans, let me know what you guys are feeling this season. New move to Los Angeles, hopefully a new mindset for this squad. The defense, it's a really young unit, man. It looks really good, and as long as the offense doesn't turn the ball over, it should be a pretty good year for the Chargers, but you just never know. So leave a like in the video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys next time.